Hey everybody, welcome to Example of Play. In this video, I'm going to be playing a scenario from the new module for Combat Mission Cold War. This is from the British Army of the Rhine module that just came out. It's actually going to be the last new content for the Combat Mission engine, the CMX2 engine, which has been around since Shock Force that came out like almost 20 years ago, I think. So yeah, this engine has been put through its paces for a long time. It's been updated along the way, but yeah, it's pretty impressive how much stuff has come out for it over the years. But I'm looking forward to the new engine, the CMX3 that they're working on. Hope to see that not too far in the future. But anyway, for today, we are playing this mission. So British Army of the Rhine, as the name suggests, it adds British, Canadian, and Soviet Paratrooper forces to Combat Mission Cold War, which, as that name suggests, is all about Cold War era combat. So we've got some stuff from that time period. And so I picked one of the missions that features our British forces, since we want to see them in action and see them here. It's a smaller scenario, but I think it's an interesting one. Not your typical kind of battle. It's focused on sort of a fictional scenario of taking this Spandau prison, which is where I was reading the briefing. I guess we'll just pull that up real quick. It was talking about how this was a real place that the Soviets and the Allies kind of took turns guarding in Berlin during the East-West Berlin period, and that in this scenario, basically, there's been like skirmishes happening, and the Soviets aren't giving back the prison like they're supposed to take turns with it, and so the British forces have been sent in to take it back by force as sort of a symbolic victory to maintain control. And so we have this relatively small force, and we're attacking. But we're attacking this prison, which is basically built like a fortress, and we have to kind of keep our casualties to a minimum. So I thought this would be a fun one to try out. Have to be very tactical and careful with each unit because you have a short amount of time, 35 minutes, to find a way to break into this prison and defeat the Soviets that are guarding it without taking too many casualties on our side, which if you've played any of the combat mission games set in the more modern eras is way more deadly than the World War II era combat, especially urban combat, especially short range. So we got a lot of that happening here. So it will be interesting to see how I do here because it could be tricky, but we'll try to figure out some creative ways to get in there and win this scenario. So let's get started. So real quick, we'll kind of look at our forces here, and then I'll take a minute to arrange them and figure out a plan. But we do have, looks like about 2 platoons of infantry, including some mortars, some breaching teams, which we'll probably need, and then a couple of Chieftain 6 tanks, a couple of Jeep type vehicles there, that Land Rovers that are probably not going to be much use for us here. But yeah, those tanks give us some firepower to pack some punch, but then the infantry will have to go in there and do the close-in fighting. The Soviets have briefing states they have a lot, like 44 soldiers in here, some of whom may just be prison guards, so it might not be too effective. But like I said, we're having to engage in sort of the most dangerous kind of combat, going into a place that's basically like a fortress. But we do have freedom to deploy, it looks like, in several different spots here. So I'll take a second to kind of figure out my plan and how I want to deploy my guys. Okay. So I've arranged my forces around. Basically, I have a company of infantry and 2 tanks, but our infantry do have some mortars, some light mortar support. They have, each platoon has a breaching team. So my plan is to attempt a couple points of breaching the wall and getting into prison. I think we outnumber the enemy and we have probably better firepower, better experience. The trick is just going to be getting and closing that distance, getting inside without taking a lot of casualties. So the plan is, and because of the way the deployments work, these guys in this square kind of had to deploy here, and then the other ones could deploy anywhere around the edge. So you could deploy like all the way over there if you wanted to, but I'm going to keep my guys kind of a little more together. So the plan is that here at the front door, there's a nice door right there, but I'm guessing we won't be able to just run some guys up to it. So I'm going to have my 2 tanks positioned here, basically knock on the front door, just blast away at it. If there's any resistance there, just hit it hard with the big guns, knock it down, and then we have a platoon of infantry in this building, in these buildings, that can move up and try to get in there, depending on how much resistance there is. And then these look like infantry symbols, but this is really like the command team, so it's actually not very many people. So they'll just add a little supporting fire from this side, but that's probably about it. And then over here, kind of a two-pronged attack that each platoon, there's a platoon in here, a platoon on the left, and each one has a breaching team, so they're going to try to just kind of get fire superiority where they're at to start with, so that they can send up one squad and a breaching team up here. And so they have the breaching team, they have these blast charges, they can use demo charges that they can blow a hole in the wall. So the goal would be to blow a hole in the wall straight into this building so that the guys can just go into that building, and then it has a bunch of windows so they can get upstairs and provide some fire support. And then once we kind of get things under control, then move across and then into this long building. And so the one thing in these combat mission games versus the old ones, the CMX1 combat mission games, is that the doors and windows actually matter. So in the older games, it was kind of abstract, like your guys could move into a building from any direction, and it was sort of like just where they were in the building was sort of abstracted. Here, your guys have to actually go through doors. So like they have to enter this building through this door. They can only shoot out windows if you actually see them. So like this building has a bunch of windows on the top floor and only one on the bottom floor. So that does matter quite a bit of how much firepower you can get out of that building, but also how exposed your guys are, because if the enemy can't see them, if there's no windows, then they're much safer. And so this platoon over here, they're going to do the same thing, and I think approach this building from this angle where they won't be too exposed from the many windows on the prison itself, and they can try to blow a hole in it right here. And so that way, if one or both of these succeed, we'll get some guys inside the wall, and then we can push into this next building and then use it as a safe passage to push up to the actual prison, and then run across here. And then I think once we get in the prison, it'll be a little messy, but my guys will win just through firepower and being better quality. They'll just have to kind of make their way through here to wipe out the defenders. Because the briefing did say that the defenders won't ever surrender. You just have to kind of keep fighting until you think you've wiped them out and then end the scenario. Alright, so let's, I'm going to save here, just since I've done my setup, and then we'll get started. Alright, so we're going to hit start here. I'm not going to give any initial orders because I just want to see what happens. See if any resistance starts shooting at us right away. And then once we kind of get a feel for what is out there, we'll move up. And it could be that they can't see us, we can't see them, so nobody's shooting right here at first. So I might draw a little fire. Do a little recon by fire. So just shoot at the building and see if they shoot back and get a little firefight going while I have a lot of guys in cover before they move up. And here at the front, we will have our tanks do the same thing to the front door. I'm just using the fire briefly command, so that way they shoot for 15 seconds and they stop. So I don't want them to waste all their big rounds if there's nothing there. Right, nothing right at first here. I want to use my tanks to kind of suppress this first building and then hopefully get some guys in there. And then I might move them around to support these guys where there's a little more open ground. And then the tanks could just shoot the wall, blow a hole in the wall, and roll in if I want them to. I don't know if I want to do that because I'm sure they've got a few RPGs in there. I don't want to, definitely don't want to lose one of these tanks. That'd probably hurt the points towards victory. But I could blow some holes in the wall just to open up some lanes of fire for the tanks. Alright, so yeah, nothing. That initial round of shooting. Try again. Do a little more. Alright, looks like these guys got shot at, took a little light wound. They didn't spot where it was coming from anyway. I feel like the front door has to be defended. Like, there's no way I could just send guys in there. Alright, so he spotted something right there. That's good. Got a little start. Yeah, if they're not wanting to shoot back, we might move our first squad up. Now, if you're a real pro combat mission player, you'll know that you don't actually want to keep your squads all as one big unit, especially in some of the other games where you have squads of like 12, 13 guys. You can split them up into teams, like just even teams or assault team, anti-tank team, scout team. Can be very useful splitting them up just to get more flexibility of positioning and less likely to take a bunch of casualties all at once. But I'm going to be kind of casual in this game, and just for ease of play, just leave them all as big teams or as full squads. But especially if, yeah, you're worried about casualties and you want to not risk too many guys at once, it's a good idea to split them off, or even just split off a little scout team of just like a couple guys and move them up just in case there's an ambush waiting. You don't lose a whole squad. But I'm not going to listen to my own advice, because that adds a little player burden of clicking on stuff when you have that many more teams to deal with. Very quiet. I expected a little more resistance right off the bat than what we're getting. So those squads are able to move up. I'm going to move the breaching teams up into position. They got their demo charges. They can do the blast command and basically just blow a hole in the wall into that building and then move through it, which is very useful because in this game, in all the newer games like these, like I was saying, the windows and doors, what you see is what you get. So your guys have to actually go through like where there's a door, where they can only shoot through where there's a window. You have to keep an eye on your guys, because sometimes they'll take a path that doesn't make any sense, or it makes sense because you weren't paying attention. Like if the doorway is the only door in a building's on the other side, they'll run all the way around the building and go in from that side, which could be very hazardous for their health. All right, so we're going to do the blast move into this building. So these guys will blow a hole in the wall and then run in there. And then same thing for these guys. Make a couple entry points into the fortress here. I'll have this squad follow them in. And these guys didn't draw any kind of fire at all just yet. They'll move up here. Have these guys follow on behind them. Now I've got these mortar teams, which the mortars probably won't be too useful here against this big building, but the smoke might be useful. Like get them across the courtyard or something. Alright, so they finally found somebody to shoot at. Nice. Right, got our first proper little firefight going. Got them pinned down, that's good. Got our reinforcements on the way. Now these guys, I'm not going to move them up straight across this courtyard because I feel like that has to be a death trap. Even if we've taken out, looks like those little small squad, like 3 guys guarding the front door. We won that firefight pretty decisively, but I feel like moving them up right now would be not a good idea. Gotta be defended up in there. Instead, gonna move, kind of occupy this whole area right there just to give some fire support from the front. And these tanks aren't doing anything there, so I'm gonna move them around. One over here, I'm thinking blast a hole in the wall right here and kind of fire into these low buildings right there. And then the other tank, same thing, probably park it right there. Maybe it can fire through here and suppress, because I'm thinking I want to go up through these buildings and then enter the prison through right here, so that he could suppress that area right there if needed. Probably will be needed. Alright, so we're taking our time. Nice and deliberate here. Kind of minimize casualties. Smooth so far. Say that, you know, looking to jinx myself probably. Nope. Yep. Just in time. Taking my first casualty there as they run across that open ground. Alright, so there's an enemy right there. Well, our tank is arriving just in time to suppress that position. Once he gets line of sight on it. Perfect. Just in time for him to get shot at. So they took a penetration, but Chieftain's pretty heavily armored. Still in the fight. But yeah, we do have some RPGs coming our way. Drawing some fire. Yeah, those guys a little more. Right now is where we need to kind of try to establish fire superiority. So we moved up one squad, but they're pinned down, so they need some help. Gonna move up another one. And then this platoon, I am gonna split off one scout team just to be safe. Have them run across just to see if there's like a machine gun waiting to blast that opening. Ooh, that was a nice shot, like from all the way back here. Looks like that was a good hit. Alright, those scout team made it across, so we're gonna send the rest of the squad with them. And then you can recombine those squads. Took another casualty right there. Bound to get a few casualties no matter what you do. Alright, so I'm gonna blow a hole in the wall with this tank. See if they can. There's a little smoke there right now, but hopefully after the smoke clears, he can fire in there. And then this tank going to do the same thing against that wall. So he has hopefully have line of sight right into there. And sometimes it's worth it to suppress. Nope, nope, he just shot the ground. Sometimes they don't do quite what I want them to do. See if it works that time. There we go. Okay, and then okay. Kind of setting up some heavy fire support there. Move up these guys. Gonna let them have it anywhere I see them. Use firepower to our advantage at every opportunity. The mortars might be kind of difficult to use effectively here, but we'll try. Just kind of pummeling away at them right there. Now, of course, here comes the most dangerous part. We've taken a couple casualties, not too bad. now to try to actually get into the prison, which is going to be tricky because once you get in there, you could take fire from enemies that you can't see from the outside, especially with all these floors, all these connected buildings. Like if you move, like I don't want to move these guys up just yet because they move in right here. They're going to be right in the middle, and there could be enemies like here that I can't see. There could be enemies on both sides. They could, yeah, I could run into a real death trap there. So they're in a nice spot that they are close, but it's kind of like they're very close but still very far away. So that's why I want to go in here first on the edge so that we can kind of secure from the edge and then move in. And then once we've secured this corner, then these guys can move up and add a whole another fresh platoon to our attack. So at 21 minutes, so not doing too bad. Haven't taken too many casualties. I think, yeah, our next move is going to be just to push a little bit more. Man team up there, as many rifles up front as possible. Tanks, still got plenty of rounds to use, so go ahead and use them. Try to fire a little deeper in the prison there. Alright, so I'm gonna move one platoon over, or one squad over, where this squad can cover them, and then they're gonna try to go for that first floor right there since it seems quiet. Let them fire one more blast in there in case there's anybody waiting to shoot at them that we can't see. Alright, boys. In you go. Let's send the healthiest squad in. Could try to throw some smoke out there, but sometimes seems like they never throw it where you want them to, and it's not super effective. Let's see how it goes here. You can even give your guys an assault order, which can be very useful in some situations where they'll kind of automatically do like a leapfrog thing of like half the squad moves, half the squad covers, and then they move up together. But it's kind of slow and tiring, so it's best to only use it occasionally for short distances. Alright, they made it across. Secured first area. Sound like they took out at least one enemy. Alright, so that worked. So we are going to funnel in everybody else behind them. So get this whole platoon in there. And then kind of move up these floors, so if there is an enemy on a higher floor, they'll encounter them now. And then, yeah, these guys can do the same thing. Just gonna kind of have them carefully move across here. Giving extra orders just because I want to make sure they don't wander outside by mistake. And then, like I was saying, yeah, if we could push from here in and kind of secure this open area, the first area, then I can move this whole platoon up and they can help. And then we should be in good shape. And then I'm tempted to send this platoon over this way and go in that door. That might work. Got a little wall there to give us some cover. Move this squad up and see things go okay for them. Alright, they found... Oh, okay, yeah, that's what I was worried about. Oh man, not good. Enemy right there. Didn't see them from where they were. Tank. Get a shot in. Yeah, that's frustrating right there, but that's kind of the nature of the urban combat. Move those guys up. They took, well, 3 casualties. Could have been worse. These guys here, because I think from right there they can kind of see in. And then these guys could move up to take care of that as well. And gotta try to take control of this building kind of one chunk at a time. I think the Soviets, yeah, they're all like pretty small squads. It's just they're scattered all over the place. Okay, yeah. If we can just get in close, get a good angle, then our guys are going to win. Our British boys are better trained, better armed. They're just on the attack in a difficult situation. Okay, so that went pretty well right there. Now these guys are going to try to actually get into that building. And we could use our demo team, even like if we were worried about crossing into here. Demo team could like move up here and just blast a hole in just to get right in the middle instead of going through this door. Oh, let's see. All right, they made it in. Found a couple more Soviets over there. And the one thing that's great about this game is how it models each individual soldier. So like in a squad, you can see like most of the guys might be cowering because they got shot at, but like one guy's still on his feet, still firing back, and that might be all you need. Is just one soldier staying in it. All right, they're in there. Man team, yeah, they're running all the way around. Okay, now let's move over. We got 14 minutes, so we're doing good on time. Now I'm gonna have these guys move across into the central building, which I think we've... Oops, wrong button right there. I think we've kind of secured, like we took out a bunch of guys right there, so we should, if there could be enemies over on this side, but at least we know we're not going to be hit from more than 1-2 sides versus like 3 or 4. Gotta move them all together, so if they do run into something, they're on multiple floors where they can support each other. Yep, alright, so found a couple Soviets there, wiped them out. Alright, we'll just keep it going. Them across. Now it should be more than safe for this platoon to move up, so they had kind of the scariest job of going in the front door, but they were able to just wait it out. Now they can just walk right in. We'll let them do some fighting since they are still very fresh. Now really, I'm just now realizing I haven't cleared these buildings over here, so we'll see if they make it across that courtyard without catching a machine gun team right there could really do some business. But looks like they're going to be okay. And then again, with my command teams, they really like to take the long way around. They decided to run all the way over there instead of just going across the courtyard. All right, now let's move these guys over. Kind of same thing, multiple floors. That if there is something there, they can all engage together instead of on their own. That was the, don't want them crawling over. Found some guys back there in the back. I don't know if we can see them. Maybe. Alright, give us some extra firepower. Ooh, okay. That's not good. Taking a bunch of casualties. Alright, well, that did not go very well at all. That platoon just... 2 squads pretty much done for right there. I thought must be a bunch of Soviets in there in the middle. All right, so I got two lacks. Should have moved these guys up first into here to kind of help clear this part out first. All right, but yeah, I should do that before they recover. Not much we can do here other than just let them fight it out. Oh man, taking a lot of casualties again. This is, yeah, the one frustrating thing in these games sometimes is this like close in building combat. Like there's sometimes you just don't have any good option. Oh man, getting ugly here at the end. When I thought it was going good. Alright, I'm gonna try to reinforce them. Kind of win through overwhelming firepower. And have the tank blast guys on the backside. Actually, I might have the tank just keep rolling all the way back to here. And then just kind of fire back in to there. Going so smooth. And then just, yeah, this last central part, we took a lot of casualties. I don't know if that's not going to be good on the point sheet when we get to it, but too late to go back now. And I guess this one squad made it into the middle, so I didn't actually mean to send them in there just yet, but it worked out for them. But yeah, there's one squad's totally gone, and the other 2 are pretty much done for, so that's like one platoon almost entirely wiped out. Which, to be honest, I haven't played the newer combat mission games. It's been a while since I've played them very much, so at one point in time, back in the day, I was pretty good at Shock Force, and I'd kind of mastered this combat, but I've forgotten all my little tips, all the tricks and things. Using lots of suppressive fire is kind of the one big key to victory, is to just suppress, suppress, suppress at all opportunities. We'll let the tanks help us out with clearing I feel like there's probably at least one or two more little squads back in here. We'll see what we can do with the suppressing back there before we move in. Alright, time for the final push here. See how it goes.
Listen up, lads. Right, lads. Go, go,
Which, yeah, we might have got them all now. But I hate to say that, and then more show up. I haven't seen any fire come from this side. I wonder if I should have attacked from like these two blockhouses. Might have been the better play, but we would have had to close with them eventually, no matter what. So maybe it was better we were on that side where they were. We could put some fire on them before we moved in. And like I said at the beginning, the briefing said that they actually won't surrender, so you kind of have to just ceasefire the mission once you think you've cleared it out. Which if we get in here and we don't see anyone else, haven't spotted anything in any of these buildings over here, so we're taking the center. Got 4 minutes left. We'll probably ceasefire it here and see what we got. Alright, so British Army tactical victory, so technically we won, but it was ugly. We took the building, our squads are still mostly intact, and then the Soviets, although they did inflict some casualties, not enough for them to secure their victory points for that. And like they had a special category just for the tanks, so didn't get any of our tanks, so that would have hurt. But let's see, we lost 24 killed, 10 wounded. Pretty ugly day. They lost 20 killed, 24 wounded, and they had 18 still okay. Where were they? That doesn't make any sense. It says they have 18 okay, but they're all gone. Maybe they surrendered? No. I think normally they show up as like missing if they surrendered. Yeah, so where are those 18 leftover men? Because looks like we got all of them. Interesting. All right, so one thing that I do love about Combat Mission is you can look and see how many casualties each of your units inflicted by clicking on them at the end. And if you play a campaign over the course of the campaign, they'll add up. So our tanks actually only accounted for 2, but they did plenty of suppressing. And our mortars, no, we never used them. Then some of our squads in here, yeah, they got 10 on their own. Our squad that got wiped out, how'd they do? None. Oh, ugly day for them. All wiped out and didn't even inflict any casualties. And yeah, 11, those guys might be our winner. Yeah, one squad with 11 casualties. All right, so that was a little bit of Combat Mission British Army of the Rhine. This was a really small scenario, but an interesting one. I can tell someone spent a lot of time creating this map, this prison, based on a real location and kind of an interesting idea for a scenario. So that was a pretty fun one, and I just wanted to do a shorter one. I might come back and do one of the bigger missions later, but I just had a little bit of time today, so I figured I'd do one of the quick small missions to show it off. See the British in action in the Cold War setting. But this mod really does come with like 3 full campaigns and a bunch of scenarios. And then, like I said, it adds the British, Canadians, and Soviet paratroopers to the game. And it's the last of the combat missions engine number 2 content that's going to be put out there. So looking forward to combat mission X3, the new engine that's coming now that they've partnered with Slither, and that's pretty exciting. That's like something I hoped for a long time would happen, and so it will be cool to see, because this engine, like I said, is like almost 20 years old. 20 years old, so it's been around for a while. It'll be nice to see what they can do with something fresh and a new take on this kind of gameplay. But yeah, so that's it for this one. Thanks for watching. If you liked the video, be sure you hit like, subscribe, and there'll be more combat mission gameplay. I'm still playing the original classics that just kind of got sort of re-released and updated. We'll be doing some more of those scenarios, and probably I'll try to do at least one more from this, maybe one of the big scenarios just for fun. But yeah, we'll see you next time. Thanks for watching. Bye.